$4.99. That's what Costco charges for a whole roasted chicken, and has been charging since 2009. Adjusted for inflation, that bird should cost way over $11 these days. So, when something costs half of what it should cost, one wonders what exactly you're getting. And can you make it better at home? Today we're gonna find out. Und los! Costco sells somewhere around 150 million of these chickens every year, for $4.99 each. And here's the part they're quite open about. They lose money on each and every one of them. That's called a loss leader. In a nutshell, you sell one item that's very popular below cost just to get the people into the door. The chicken sits at the very end of the warehouse for a reason. It's not an accident. The idea is that you have to pass all the other shelves and engage in some impulse buying. That works for many people because impulse control is hard to come by these days. Today I explain what goes into that bird and whether we can make a duplicate at home with the ingredients you already have. The ingredient list on a Costco rotisserie chicken reads whole chicken, water, salt, sodium phosphates, modified food starch, potato dextrin, carrageenan, sugar, dextrose, and spice extracts. 10 ingredients. Let's go through them by what they actually do. Group 1, moisture and texture agent. That's the sodium phosphates, the modified food starch, and the carrageenan. These three are all working on the same problem, keeping water inside that bird. Sodium phosphates are salts of phosphoric acid. That's the stuff in Coke. They are used across the processed meat industry, and you have seen me use them on this channel. Sausages, deli meats, and canned hams. Their job when injected into chicken is to keep the protein network from collapsing during cooking, thus squeezing out all the juices. They prop the structure open, if you want to say it like this, turn the meat a little bit spongy, and thus allow the moisture to be retained in the meat. They are FDA approved and considered safe for the general population if used correctly. People with chronic kidney disease are advised to monitor their phosphate intake. This chicken would be one of those things to monitor. Worth knowing if that applies to you or someone in your household. Modified food starch. This is a regular food starch that has been chemically or mechanically modified to perform a certain function better. In this case, it improves the brine. In its natural form, regular starch dissolves poorly in cold liquids. This modified version stays stable. It binds water and also slightly thickens the brine so that the brine stays inside the chicken when it's injected and doesn't squirt back out. Nothing exotic there, it does exactly what regular starch does, it holds and binds water. Carrageenan is derived from red seaweed. It's a gel-forming agent, also called a hydrocolloid. In the brine, it works similarly to the starch. It thickens, it stabilizes, and it helps retain moisture. The FDA classifies it as GRAS, generally recognized as safe. That classification is currently intact, although carrageenan is undergoing more research and has been legally challenged, so that classification might change. Group 2, the sugars. That's the sucrose, the dextrose, and the potato dextrin. These contribute to the browning and make the rotisserie chicken look like a rotisserie chicken. They also balance out the flavors a little, so wherever there's salt or acid, you usually add a little bit of sugar to round it out. Group 3, the flavorings. That's just the spice extracts and, of course, the salt. Those are concentrated flavors extracted from spices using a solvent, rather than having ground pieces of spices in there. Think vanilla extract instead of vanilla bean. Same principle. It delivers a consistent and uniform flavor profile throughout the process without having to deal with little particulates from the spices. It's why every Costco chicken tastes the same. And then, of course, salt and water, that's the base of any brine. Normally I would say water is the food industry's favorite ingredient because it's cheap and it adds a lot of weight. But since Costco chicken is not sold by weight, I would say it's mostly there for the moisture and the flavoring. Chicken naturally loses moisture the moment it's cooked, just like any other meat. The proteins contract and squeeze out the moisture. That's why home-cooked chicken can be dry if you're not careful. The industrial solution to this is injection, pumping a liquid directly into the muscle tissue before cooking. The phosphate, the modified starch, and the carrageenan are all there to keep that moisture inside that muscle. Not just during storage, but also during the cooking process. The starch and the carrageenan thicken the liquid to a point that it doesn't squeeze out the moment the bird hits 350 degrees. The result is a chicken that is very, very moist, consistently and predictably. That across 150 million birds a year. Now, what can we replicate at home and what not? How often do you grab a rotisserie chicken on your way home? Let me know in the comments. The rotisserie itself, you cannot replicate that unless you have a rotisserie. It's the self-basting effect from a rotating piece of meat. An oven simply doesn't do that. We can compensate a little, but we will not have the same effect. The phosphates, the modified starch, and the carrageenan we don't need, because we don't want to cook 150 million chickens that are all consistent and perfectly the same. We only cook one chicken. We can also peek into the oven, where in the industrial process you cannot. Everything has to go mechanized. What we use instead is a simple brine, water, salt, sugar, and a few aromatics. That said, we are going to use the injection method, and we're going to inject our brine directly into the breast and the legs. The salt does similar structural work as the phosphates do in the industrial version. Salt denatures proteins slightly, allowing them to hold more water. It is slower, it requires an overnight rest, but it works. If you don't have an injector, you can simply submerge the chicken in the brine overnight, and that will get you good halfway there. The home version will not have the same spongy texture as the Costco chicken. Some people might call that an improvement. The skin is a different story. The Costco chicken comes out of the rotisserie with a perfectly nice crisp skin, and then they pack it into a plastic bag where it steams under a heat lamp for an hour. So nobody gets a crispy skin from a Costco chicken. The home version, however, you can consume fresh out of the oven and have the crispy skin if you like that. That said, we want to duplicate the Costco experience as closely as possible. Thus, we are going to rest the chicken under a tinfoil dome to steam the skin soft. Of course, that step is completely up to you. Here's what we are working with. A whole broiler chicken. The cheapest chicken from the supermarket is okay. We are replicating a cheap chicken after all. Of course, if you can afford better, get a better chicken. The result will always be better. For the brine, 750 milliliters of water, that's roughly 3 cups. A bunch of aromatics, recipe down below in the description as usual. And there is some salt and some sugar. Add all the ingredients to the water. And bring the water to a boil. Here's our cooled down brine. Use a fine needle on your injector and fill it with brine. I put some plastic wrap around my wooden board because this is a little bit messy. Some of the liquid might squeeze out. Now go into the breast from multiple angles and slowly pull out while you're injecting. Repeat on the second breast. And then go into the legs. The legs don't need as much, simply because they're juicier to begin with. Time to truss the bird. I'm showing you a version that's very close to how Costco trusses their birds. Although I have to say, I don't think it's the best method to truss a bird. But that's for a different episode. You need a piece of butcher twine, roughly in the middle. Let me turn this around so you can see it. You go under the tail, and then you twist around the legs. And you see when you pull this together, it actually pulls everything together. Then you go over here, under the shoulder, under those legs, and above the wings. Time to turn this around. Now there should be the neck here somewhere. If you don't have that, just go fairly low. If you can, include the skin that's hanging over here. And then you go to the side and actually make a knot on the side. You turn once, twice. I tend to go 3 times. Have it down here somewhere. And you just do 1 to secure it. Cut off the excess. So now this all nicely ties together. Now you just have to deal with the wingies. And the wings, you just push under here, and they have this little horn here, which kind of locks it into place. And there you go. So you have a nice presentation. It's trussed up, and it should cook relatively evenly. There's the bird. Just cover it and put it into the fridge overnight. Right in the morning when you get up, uncover the bird. Now a couple hours later, pull it out of the fridge and let it sit on your counter for about half an hour. If you look closely, this skin is almost dry to the touch. It's just a little bit tacky, as you would expect, because a pellicle forms. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 350 Fahrenheit, that's about 175 Celsius. The chicken sits on a rack. That's important so that air circulates around the chicken. Before you pop it into the oven, make sure the bird is completely dry because moisture might condense on it while it's sitting there on the counter. The average bird takes about 90 minutes or a little longer. So at 90 minutes, I would start checking the temperature. You do that by poking into the thickest part of the breast. If you have one of these fancy wireless probe thermometers that shows you the temperature on your app, use it. Otherwise, just use a regular thermometer and start checking at around 90 minutes. Once it hits 165 degrees on the thickest part, you pull it out. Now this is out of the oven. Here comes the tinfoil tent. If you want to emulate Costco, just tent it up for about 15 minutes or so. That should soften the skin. If you enjoy the crisp skin, of course, skip this step. After 15 minutes, remove the foil. There, the skin has softened and your chicken is ready. Now it's time to see how it turned out. This is a breast from the Costco chicken. This is the breast from the homemade version. On first glance, this could have a little bit more color, but then I would have overcooked it. So there you see the sugars at work. This one, of course, suffered a little bit because it's a day old. It spent the night in the fridge and now I had to reheat it. Where this one is straight out of the oven. That's actually always one of the advantages of a homemade version. It's fresh out of the oven or the pan. I just cut down the middle here. This breast is still juicy, despite having spent the night in the fridge and being reheated. This breast isn't dry either. You can actually see the juices come out of it. So brining works. The injection method works. You don't necessarily need the carrageenan and all that to produce a juicy chicken. But what am I telling? Let's see how it tastes. This is what I would a roasted chicken expect to be. The Costco chicken is a slightly bit creamier, which is probably the starch and the carrageenan in it. It is about as juicy as this one, so there is not much difference there. I always find the Costco version slightly artificial from the texture point of view. And if you belong into that group of people, you will like the homemade version better. The skin of the homemade chicken, whether you foiled it or not, is definitely superior because this is considerably older. could use a little salt. We have a pretty good approximation of the Costco chicken at home. Now let's see what the cost is. The Costco chicken, $4.99. There is nothing to argue about. This chicken already cost like $4.75 on sale. And I didn't even cook it yet. Add the spices and all that, I would say $7 for the homemade version if you find the chicken on sale for 99 cents a pound. Overall, we cannot beat the price of a Costco chicken. That was to be expected. The point for the homemade chicken, despite being a lot more work and taking much longer, is you know exactly what's in there, you know exactly what kind of chicken it is, and you can control whether you want a crispy skin or not. Well, that's a decision you have to make. Invest the time into a homemade chicken or just grab one on the way home. Your decision. So, to all you chicken lovers out there, are you team Costco pickup or are you team made at home? Let me know in the comments.